Hey everybody, welcome back to Jeff Bull Central, doing a Modern Classics gaming segment for you this fine New Year's Eve. It's New Year's Eve. Actually, as I'm looking at the clock recording this, it's 2 hours from midnight in my time zone, so that's what I'm doing tonight. Making a video for you guys. Because I finally got to play the Dead Space remake that came out earlier this year. If you're 2 hours from now in my time zone, it'll be last year. This is about a year-old game, and I didn't get to play it, and that's kind of what qualifies it for Modern Classics. I only play stuff for Modern Classics I haven't played yet, and I only play stuff that is of exceptional quality, according to, you know, gaming journalists or just players, just what the Metacritic reviews say. Everybody thinks this is a great remake, right? And it's a remake of a great game. I would argue that the original Dead Space and its sequels, even, because those were great too, okay? But the original especially, it was a super benchmark for the horror, the survival horror, or just the sci-fi horror, or just horror, just video game horror in general. And this is a remake where they've actually, none of the original assets appear in this game as far as I'm aware. It's a complete redesign using Frostbite engine from EA, right? And, you know, say what you want to be about EA, and there's a lot to say about EA, but Frostbite's a pretty good engine. They've made some pretty cool stuff with it, okay? They just have. And this is one of those things. So it's built from the ground up for a new engine, but it looks and plays so great compared to the original game that unless you have like a side-by-side comparison, they feel the same. The experience is the same. That's kind of the essential thing about this game for me. It looks 500% cooler and newer and sleeker with volumetric lighting and, you know, better gore just based on anatomy and physics. Completely destroying these awful necromorph things. You know, but it feels the same. That's kind of the point. Like, you know, and that's part of that is chalked up to the fact that they didn't throw the baby out with the bathwater. They didn't throw the baby out. They didn't throw the bathwater out. It's the same game, remade, right? It's a remake. This is a true remake. Not really changing the main bullet points because let's be real. Like, why fix what ain't broke, right? The original was so strong that we can basically keep beat for beat what was going on, except for one major change, and that's that the main character Isaac can talk in this version. So there was this theory in video games, and it still pervades some areas of gaming, that insisted that you wanted your protagonists to be silent protagonists, so that they could engender themselves to your experience better. You're the protagonist, but that's kind of gone a little bit out of fashion as games have been going on since then, because now we like to hear our protagonists talk for some reason. It's a good change, okay? And it does change the nature of the narrative because it becomes less about what everybody else is suffering and also now what Isaac is suffering, like on a narrative level, right? On an emotional level, not just the fear that you feel from encounters like this, where you're surrounded by these god-awful monsters and you have to shoot off their limbs, for God's sakes, with a special gun that you can tweak either vertically or horizontally to get the right angle on these limbs to hack these things off, because that's the only way to kill them. You know, that was another revolutionary thing. It kind of makes the targeting system as designed in the original game, because it's the same system. It makes it just slightly more advanced, I believe, than standard aim down the sights, shoot like a gun. Like a real gun. A real gun doesn't care if you hold it sideways, but these guns do, and it actually plays into how experienced and how much expertise you want to gain at being awesome, cutting arms off and crap, right? So anyways, there's that, but there's also another key thing, and that is that with the advance in solid state storage, right? So the Series X, which is what I'm playing on, but it's also on PC and PS5, all those things have SSDs now. And with the SSD hard drives, you can actually, no loading screens. So you can actually travel this whole ship they call the Ishimura without any loading screens. You can actually hoof it from one end to the other now which is cool. Like it's again, it's like the same experience, only more immersive. Here's another thing that they added. They actually added jets to your zero G levels, because these were kind of like the bitch of the original game. Especially once it starts getting complicated to keep your breath with you and stuff, and keep your oxygen levels minimal. So yeah, that's kind of the gist of this game. It's damn it, it's one of the scariest games you're ever gonna play. If you're into jump scares, look no further. It looks up to date. It looks beyond up to date. It looks so relevant. It's like one of the leading games of this last year, 2023, as far as basic graphic goes. Look at the detail on this guy's face. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. So it's a great classic game that feels just as good now as it did then. That is quicker. That is better looking. That is better thought out, that has no loading screens. I think you got a modern classic, okay? And that's not easy to say, to call a remake a modern classic, but that's what I gotta say. I wouldn't call everything a modern classic. Like, for instance, Resident Evil 4, I would call it a modern classic. It's a remake of an old game, but it's an exceptional thing that only just makes an exceptional thing better. So there you go. Dead Space Remake, modern classic, kablamo. Yeah. Okay, do me a favor, everybody. This is my newest musical release, Audiophile One. It is remastered, resequenced, remade version of my first album that I put out, I guess about 4 years ago now. I always wanted it to sound a little bit better. I always wanted it to flow a little bit better, so that's what I've done here. You can check this out. Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Music, even here on YouTube. That's it. That's all I gotta say. I am spent, or spient. Is that the French? No, that sounds more German. A spinta. That's the Italian. Sorry if I just offended people.